Our dream of conquering space has come true. The International Space Station, ISS, the largest technological project ever undertaken. People have been living in this outpost of humankind without interruption since the year 2000. So far, more than 100 astronauts have lived, worked, and researched here under unique conditions.
What fascinated me was most of it the beauty of the planet Earth. It's a beautiful planet, fantastic colors. The Bahamas are beautiful, the Australian outback, Tibet, you have really very nice places. But it also is fragile. If you look beside the planet, you see the blackness of space and this thin atmosphere. You feel that it is vulnerable, fragile.
The world's largest operational space launch facility, the Cosmodrome in Baikonur, Kazakhstan. A huge giant, 50 meters long and weighing more than 300 tons, stands against the cold night sky. This is a place of legend. Top secret during the Cold War, this is where the very first man-made satellite, the Sputnik, was shot into space in 1957. In 1961, the first human, Yuri Gagarin, traveled into space from this launch pad. And now, an international crew is preparing for the 30th mission. One of the astronauts is André Kuipers of the Netherlands.
It was very cold. It was the coldest launch ever. And so they gave us special clothing around our necks because otherwise it would have been too cold for us. And then you walk forward and you see your family on the side, and they had a big banner. I did an effort to look where the family was and to read a bit what was on the banner. So that is nice. So I was not nervous. You train so much, you know, and you want to do this. Then astronauts are only worried that they might cancel the launch or something, and that doesn't happen much with Soyuz. So you feel pretty relaxed.
The Dutch ESA astronaut will be flying to the ISS along with US astronaut Don Pettit and Russian cosmonaut Oleg Kononenko. US astronaut Don Pettit, who also arrived together with André Kuipers, is on board the space station for the third time. They greet the commander, NASA astronaut Dan Burbank, who has already been on board for 4 weeks. He brought along his guitar.
So I floated everywhere I could. And then I went to the cupola, and that is our European-built watchtower, and it's fantastic. So you have windows all around. That's, of course, one of the first things I wanted to do, to see the planet. And for me, it all started with my grandmother buying some science fiction booklets. And this was the Perry Rhodan series, originally German series, but it's also in Dutch. And I was hooked. I thought, wow, this is great, you know. It was about spaceships and alien planets, space suits, and all these kind of things. And I was reading in bed, you know, when I had to sleep with a flashlight under the blankets. I was reading my Perry Rhodan books. And but that was a boy's dream.
That dream has now come true for André Kuipers. Now it's time to get to work. Equipment is assembled for the task outside the station. These spacewalks last 6 hours. You can't just pop back in to grab a different screwdriver. Astronauts have to be all-round talents. That's the only way they can survive. André Kuipers is a medical doctor, but on board, he's a mechanic, scientist, and even a plumber. Even if it looks light and easy, weightlessness is a stressful condition for the body. The astronauts need 2 to 3 hours of physical fitness training each day. Weightlessness causes muscles and bones to atrophy. But how can you lift weights if there's no gravity? Engineers have created complicated sports equipment involving springs and vacuum hydraulics.
There's several ways to wash. You can use wet wipes. We have plenty of those on board and you use it for everything. If you want some more water, you can indeed squeeze the water on you and it just stays on you as a big bubble. You have to be careful that it doesn't get here because you drown in a bubble of water. And in the beginning it's strange, but after a while you get used to it.
It only takes 90 minutes to orbit the Earth. Every day they are on board, the astronauts experience 16 sunrises and sunsets. The International Space Station has proved that countries that were enemies for most of the previous century can cooperate successfully. The International Space Station is the fulfillment of an ancient dream of mankind, to leave the planet to explore the unknown. The final weeks of André Kuipers' space adventure are at hand.
The return in the Soyuz is the most exciting part of the flight. People mostly think of the launch, but returning is very exciting. Somewhere above Iraq, Turkey, we enter the atmosphere, and you see that because it becomes pink outside and then orange, and you see sparks, and then all of a sudden you get heavier and heavier, 1, 2, 3 times, 4 times, 4.7 times our body weight. So it's hard to breathe. So for several minutes we are in this fireball being squeezed in our seats, and then you brace for the impact, and then you see a big flash, and then you hit the ground. It's a small car accident, and it's very wild. You move, my knee hit the dashboard, and we tipped over, so for a moment, and then we came up right again. If you come out of the capsule after half a year, it feels really strange. It feels like a magnet is pulling on you. You see also that we are pretty pale, so say the blood pressure reflexes are down. But I felt good enough to recognize people and to wave and to make the phone call. So also I realized that people were of course worried, but I could smile, and so back on the planet.